Hi, I'm Caroline Mitchell, Canine Behaviourist at Good Doggy. Reactive behaviour is a really tricky thing. It's very easy to start trying to help a reactive dog and then give up after a short period of time. I read a post which had been made by a lady. She'd given up. She said in her post she tried everything. She tried treats and toys and nothing worked for her. In another one, the person had said they got so far and then their training had stopped working. So if you've tried and struggled with your dog's reactive behaviour, then this video is for you, because I'm going to talk about what went wrong in these cases and why you should give your reactive dog another go. So treats and distractions are a really common strategy in a lot of behaviour rehabilitation and training plans and things like that. It's very common to try and use these things not just as rewards but also as distractions. But the thing about reactive behaviour is it's not something that you distract somebody from. In fact, it doesn't really help if you think of reactive behaviour as behaviour at all. If we think about it more as a sort of a chemical or biological response, then actually it starts to make a bit more sense as to why this kind of stuff doesn't really help. So think about this as when your dog becomes reactive, it's because their fight or flight instinct has triggered at the wrong time. So that's a biological response. When that adrenaline kicks in, once that emergency mode has been triggered, then the body is in control. So we can't distract our dog. It's the same as if a human has a panic attack. There's nothing I can say to a human that's having a panic attack that's going to make them stop having a panic attack. That's driven by biology. There's so much adrenaline and everything else that's going on in there. And this is the same for our dog. So once they've gone into that mode and their fight or flight is now in charge, we can't change that. What we have to do with reactive behaviour is we have to manage that in advance. So we need to stop them from going into this fight or flight mode. We need to manage their environment. We need to manage their proximity to things so that we don't get there in the first place. So I talk about threshold a lot. Threshold happens when a dog goes over threshold. It's because their brain is switched off. When it comes to reactive behaviour, going over threshold means that adrenaline has took over and there's nothing you can do now. So we want to keep them under threshold the whole time. So if this was your strategy, then there is maximum hope for you, because distractions and trying to stop the behaviour once it's started, that doesn't work very well in reactive behaviour. There are much better ways. So if that's been your strategy, there is tons of hope for you. You can check out my other videos on reactive behaviour. There's quite a few of them. You'll get some more insight from there. And if you are looking to start trying to work on your reactive behaviour, then get a behaviourist who understands that proximity and why reactive behaviour gets triggered, because they will give you a plan that is centred around stopping the reactive behaviour happening in the first place. It'll be a little bit of desensitization. You'll be working at afar. You'll be diluting known triggers so that your dog can cope with them better and building up from there. So you're looking for behaviourists that can do that, or check out my online workshops and my reactive course. I also have a reactive Facebook group for support and tips and stuff like that. And there's always workshops coming around. So if that's been your strategy, then there's loads of hope for your dog. Check out those different resources or get a behaviourist that knows why reactive behaviour happens. If that wasn't your problem, if you feel like that's what you've already done, and it's not worked for you, like in that second case, she started to train with her reactive dog and then it all kind of crumbled away. Most likely that was because you went too fast. You probably started very well, but as you started to see progress, you started to push your luck a little bit. So we know that it's about managing space, it's about diluting triggers, and it's about building up. But often once that ball starts to roll, we get all excited and we start to run with it. We start to push ahead and we start to reduce the space too quickly, or we start to build back to normal again quickly. So if we've tried to dilute something by turning the volume down, we're too quick to start turning it back up again, or we move too fast, we take too big a jumps in that. And what happens when we move too quickly is that we risk triggering that emergency response again, which that's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to make sure that behavior stays low and calm and below threshold the whole time, because every time we trigger their emergency response, then that reminds our dog that that was their default response, and it can set them back. So if you think you might have gone too fast, the way to fix that is to go back to the start of your behavior plan and start again. You're not starting from scratch because you've already done a lot of this. You know what you're doing. Your dog knows what's happening. When you started this right at the beginning, both of you came to this with very, very fresh eyes. You didn't know what was happening. Now you both do. So you're not starting from scratch. You'll just get through the first initial stages again, but just take more time over each section and each stage. Let your dog's body language tell you when it's time to get closer. And if you have pushed and gone on too long, if you've kept your distance for too long, then that's not a bad thing. It's far better to hold back and move towards your trigger too slowly than it is to go too fast and risk that happening. I think it's much better to spend weeks just walking around near triggers where your dog's well in their comfort zone, and that behavior will just fix itself and it will not feel like too much work to do. If that wasn't your problem, if you felt like you took your dog through the training process and you felt like you'd really cracked this, you started slow, you were far away, you've worked with your dog again and again and again, and that space and distance reduced and reduced and reduced, and actually you felt like your dog had done an amazing job and you ticked the box and said, yes, I fixed my reactive behavior, and then all of a sudden, a week or two or a month later, whatever, it all started to fall apart and the behavior started to revert back to where it was at the start. If this is you, you'll be feeling so frustrated because that feels so cruel. You got so far and then in the end it felt like it didn't work at all. But actually what happened here is that you stopped a bit too early. Your dog hadn't formed a new habit yet. So when you're walking past other dogs, they were still relying on you to have your clicker ready or your treat ready or have them on the right side or hold your lead in a certain way. All of those things were supporting your dog in helping him to walk past his trigger or approach his trigger or see something that you didn't like. And because you thought you'd cracked it, you stopped and relaxed, and that stopped happening. And because that stopped happening while your dog still needed that bit of support, his behavior started to revert back. Until he has formed a new habit, then he will always go back to his old behavior because the old behavior was useful to him. It was rewarding. In most cases, reactive behavior is triggered by a need to keep safe, and there's no stronger motivator than staying safe. So if you're trying to keep yourself safe and your behavior, no matter how irrational or weird or wonderful that is, if the outcome is safety, then until you have formed a brand new reliable habit, then that behavior will always be sitting in the background ready to take over. So this is what happens when you think you've cracked it and then it changes after a while. It's just that your dog needed you to go on a little bit longer so that he could stop doing the behavior that you want and start doing it because it's become a new default, and that old behavior is a distant memory. On average, really, I think it takes about a month to form a new behavior once you've started a new behavior, but that can vary from one dog to another, and it also depends on how much you practice and how much exposure your dog has. So don't set that date in your diary and say he should have formed a new habit within a month. Every dog is different, but if you didn't get to the end of your training plan, feel like you've ticked it off, and then carry on for at least another month, then I'm saying that that's probably where this has gone wrong. So how do you fix it? Just go back to the start again, work through all the steps again. Again, just like before, this is not starting from scratch. You've got a lot of history now, especially now you got almost all the way there. So it's not going to take you very long to build those good experiences back up again. And then when you get to that point where you think you've cracked it, just keep on going for at least another month. And even if longer, it doesn't matter. Much better to spend a bit more time on it now and have it permanently solved, rather than to risk finishing too early again and having to go back to the start again. But if you do have to start again, just start again. You will get there. Another good reason why your reactive dog behaviour training might have suddenly failed. This might have nothing at all to do with you. This might not be your fault at all, but your dog might have a really bad experience on their next encounter. Maybe you've been working with your dog with other dogs, and then something happens and a dog runs over to yours, and an argument breaks out between the two of them. And at that moment, it'll feel like all of your hard work has just been ruined. This is a huge setback for you. You're going to have to start from scratch again because you've spent ages trying to prove to your dog that he's safe in a particular situation, and now all of a sudden some other dog, some other person, some other thing, whatever it is, has now just bulldozed into your life and ruined it for you. They didn't do that on purpose, but at that moment that will feel incredibly frustrating and soul destroying, and you'll be very angry and frustrated and all of those things and everything in between. But everything that you have done up until that point is all still in there. Your dog has had a setback, and that is not something we can deny, but all of that prior knowledge, all of that training you've done with him up until that point is all still in his brain. It's all still there. It's just a case of working through the steps again and building that confidence back up again. You've done it once and you can do it again. One bad experience is not going to completely destroy all of your training forever. So how do you fix this? Well, at the moment, you're probably feeling very angry and very frustrated. So I would always suggest taking a few days off and avoiding whatever trigger that was that set that off. Have a nice few days, just keep it simple. Have a nice detox, makes plenty of space from your triggers. And then in a few days' time, when your mind is clearer and your dog's mind also is clearer and he's had a chance to decompress too, then just start again and work yourself through all of the steps again. Get support if you can. I have a Facebook support group. Check that out. The link is in the comments. And you'll not be the first person to come in and have a good old proper rant and a cry because somebody has done something which has felt like a huge setback. You'll find loads of people in there that will tell you that at the time, that's pretty bad, but there's still hope for you. Finally, maybe the reactive training didn't work for you because it was just really hard work. And yeah, it is hard work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of being alert when you're out on your walks. It's a lot of keeping an eye out for your triggers. It's a lot of trying to manage your space, trying to manage your walks, trying to make sure you've always got the right rewards in the right places, your lead's always in the right hand, and it's hard work. You might have to take special time from your normal walks to actually do this kind of training. So yeah, it's a lot of work, and that is a problem. It takes a lot of time, it takes patience, and it's a commitment to do it. So maybe in the past, the time hasn't been right, and that's okay. It's not right for everybody all the time. Sometimes you have to focus on other things. So in the past, maybe it wasn't right for you. So if you can think back and go, well, actually, my reactive training didn't work for me because, yeah, it was hard work and I didn't really have the time for it, but now I do. Or, I didn't really have the mindset for it at the time. I was really focusing on the kids, or was focusing on something else, on my work, but that's changed now. Maybe now's the time to give it another go. Hopefully you'll know what to do. If you don't, if you had a behaviourist that was working with you in the past, go back to your original plan and see, what you were supposed to be doing. Maybe book a follow-up session with them and get them to help you get back on track. So if this has been your problem, this is how you fix it. You think about how you can change your life to change the reason why it failed the first time. If you've got the time now, or if you can afford it now, or, maybe your work doesn't need you the same way as it did, whatever it is. Figure out what the problem was. Can it be solved? Has it been solved? And then get your behaviourist back, or get a plan. If the plan wasn't right in the first place, get somebody in to help you and show you how to do it. Somebody that can coach you through the different steps, online or face-to-face. will work well for reactive behaviour, actually, because it's really all about learning how to manage that emergency response system and stopping that trigger from happening inappropriately. So hopefully one of those things is the reason why you're currently thinking that you're a bit demoralised and you don't know what to do about your reactive dog. But let me tell you, there's plenty of hope. Whatever one of those really fits your situation the most, you can start again, start from scratch, and you will get there. But do keep trying, because I think there's plenty of reasons why you can definitely do this. Take care for now. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.